Remember when I told you that letting Trump get away with when you're famous, they let you do it. You can just grab them by the pussy, etc. That this was a destruction of norms. That's not, oh, we're clutching our pearls, they're destroying norms. No, it trickles down. And we now have Max Miller, the Republican congressman accused of horrible abuse of his wife. And in some circumstances, there's belief he may even have abused his kid, but he denies it. This guy is accused of absolutely horrible stuff by multiple women. And he said during a disastrous interview with CNN's Jake Tapper, listen, I'm not getting out of the race because Trump was also accused of this sort of thing and he stayed in the race. This is what I've been talking about. If Trump is allowed to get away with it and remain in power, why not Max Miller? By the way, this interview was a terrible idea. It went so poorly for Max Miller. Let's take a look at the first clip.
There are now three women who have accused you of violent behavior. Politico published a report in 2021 that says when you were in high school, you, quote, pushed a girl out of the dorm of his room and she fell down some stairs after he became enraged when she resisted his attempts to touch her, according to three people who were there and many more who heard about the incident in the aftermath. Now, you deny that, but the woman in question told Mother Jones reporter Abby Vasulis just days ago that it happened and was, quote, one of the more traumatic nights of her life.
Well,
now,
I would love for
hold
that
on.
individual to go on the record because that.
Okay.
Jake, I was
hold on, because I'm not done with the
years,
list of women that have accused you of violence. Then there is former White House press secretary. Okay, you were young. Then there's a former White House press secretary, Stephanie Grisham, who was your ex-girlfriend. She accused you of being abusive and having a violent streak. She wrote in her book, quote, I could do nothing right by him. I would wake up every morning shaking with anxiety about his mood that day. I had seen his temper before, and it had scared me, unquote. She has recently filed a temporary restraining order against you in a defamation case. And now there are these claims from your ex-wife, Emily Marino. And I guess the question is, are all three of these women who don't know each other, are all three of them lying?
Yes, it's very easy, and I can tell you why. Every single time, and people have asked me, you know, what are you going to do? Are you going to drop out of this race? Are you going to resign? You know, are you going to get out before the deadline? And my answer to you, Jake, is no. And I can tell you why. In 2016, when President Donald J. Trump faced the most extreme allegations in the world that hit him day after day after day, and people in the media, very much like yourself and others, said that he would have no shot at winning, that he should not be the president of the United States. But guess what? He stayed in and he was resilient. And what the American people can see is that they can see that somebody is fighting who is resilient, and that is a quality that the American people cherish. And so for no second am I going to sit here and continue to be debased by false and...
Listen, guys, he's kind of right. I mean, this is what I've been saying for so long. When we see someone like Trump credibly accused by nearly 50 women of varied degrees of harassment all the way up to, his ex-wife accusing him of all the way up to and including rape. And then he becomes president. And then it happens again, and he's found liable of sexual abuse against E. Jean Carroll. And then he becomes president again. How can we look around and say to our kids and to other people, you are not allowed to do that and still be part of polite society? It's like, well, look at how many accusations there are against Trump and he became president. This is the point that I've been making. What basis is there to say Max Miller has to get out if Trump stayed in and won multiple times despite dozens of allegations? This is the debasement that I've been talking about. And so when Max Miller says this, what he's really kind of saying is there are many voters out there who would still support me despite this. There are many people out there who, disproportionately his Republican voters, who don't care about this, or they don't believe it, or they've done it themselves and they think it's irrelevant to being able to govern. He's kind of right. And this is exactly the point that I've been making for a decade at this point in time. Now, a really strange moment during this interview, Max Miller appeared to threaten his ex-father-in-law, Bernie Moreno, by saying that he would potentially, I realize he is ambiguous. Max Miller says that Miller might expose something embarrassing about Senator Moreno, his ex-father-in-law. This is crazy. This is crazy.
With your former father-in-law's story today about your daughter and the little blue bunny doll that she cannot sleep without. If it's true, that sounds like emotionally abusive behavior toward a toddler to refuse to give it to her when she can't sleep without it.
Jake, I would agree that if that were true, that would be incredibly disturbing and that the senator would be right. However, he has taken 2 years to publicly acknowledge for me to resign from my seat. Why is that, Jake? If he truly believed, like I'm a father to a 2.5-year-old daughter, I believe that you're also a father to children. And I don't know if you're actually a father to a daughter. But what I can tell you is, well, Jake, then what I can tell you is that if my daughter came to me and she said, my ex-husband did X, Y, and Z, and then I waited because I was nervous that a political live stream was going to expose a deeply and personal, embarrassing matter to the senator for him to take that action. Sadly, this has nothing to do with my daughter, Jake, and that's what this entire thing is about. This is nothing more than an individual who's being politically vindictive and talking about a blue bunny when I have text messages I can show you from our parent coordinator, who is a mandatory court reporter.
All right. So he seems to be alluding to something potentially embarrassing to his ex-father-in-law, Bernie Moreno. Now, let me address another issue as we get into the next clip. Some of you I know have noticed that Max Miller's physical appearance has changed over the last many years. Max Miller used to have sort of a scrawny look. And I don't say that. I mean, listen, I have a scrawny look. I'm not saying it pejoratively. Max Miller used to have sort of a scrawny look. And now he has a very different look. And even sort of like the shape of his face has changed. And some of you, I don't know about this next part, but some of you have even pointed out, he seems to even have like a slightly deeper voice than he used to. The topic of drugs came up with Jake Tapper, and I'm going to play that in a second. And Max Miller talks about testosterone, taking testosterone. I am not like a blame drugs for people's actions guy. Like, remember when Mel Gibson was pulled over drunk and he was saying anti-Semitic things to the police officer who pulled him over, and he goes, "Oh, it was the alcohol. Doesn't matter how many drinks you give me. I'm not going to start yelling racial slurs because they're just not part of me. They're not part of who I am. So I don't buy that stuff." But there are a lot of questions as to whether this sometimes unnecessary testosterone replacement therapy that some men are doing, where they don't really have low testosterone, but they're getting jacked up on testosterone. Sometimes they use it for bodybuilding, weightlifting, etc. It can be associated with violent behavior. Now, I'm not saying that to excuse anything. I'm saying many of you wrote to me and you said, "Man, this guy's physical appearance has really changed from that scrawny guy I remember." Well, he's been taking testosterone. That topic comes up when Jake Tapper asks about illegal drugs.
Is also concerning.
When's the last time you ever used illegal drugs?
Because you're being drugs?
Yes, because you're being investigated right now by the House Ethics Committee.
The last time, I would have to say, the last time I had illegal drugs would have been, I don't know, several years ago. I mean, I don't have a time frame on it, but I don't use illegal
20?
drugs. No, Jake, this is what they're doing, okay? This whole, needles thing, this is testosterone replacement therapy. People are painting this as something that it's not. Secretary Hegseth, who is the Secretary of War just 3 weeks ago, allowed our entire military, who are males, to take testosterone replacement therapy.
Allowed.
That's what I was doing. I have not been using any illegal drugs.
All right. So anyway, whether or not he was using illegal drugs, the combination of him saying, "I was on testosterone," and many people going, he has a different look and anger, this is just sort of part of the discussion, not an excuse, not even really an explanation, but something that's lurking around in the background. Whoever thought that Max Miller doing this interview was a good idea, oh boy. I'm guessing it was Max Miller himself who said, "I'm going to push through." I do think ultimately he is going to have to at least drop out of his reelection campaign. Maybe not resign, but even Republicans are turning on him. What do you think? And by the way, a lot of Republicans have no idea this story is going on. As I write about in my forthcoming book, Pay Attention, the digital algorithms silo us based on algorithmic preferences. And there are millions of voters who are not even aware that this story is going on. If that algorithmic siloing is interesting to you, and we should really all want to understand it, pre-order my book at davidpakman.com/attention. Shopping for a mattress is one of those things that most people put off. Once you finally decide we're going to do it, you just start guessing, which is why our sponsor Helix Sleep is such a great way to go. I've been sleeping on a Helix mattress for years at this point. You go to the Helix website, you take a short little sleep quiz, answer a few questions about your body. How do you sleep? What kind of feel do you like? What are you looking for? And they will match you with a model that is built around your preferences. And that's it. It just simplifies mattress shopping. The thing I most like about my Helix mattress is that the whole process was very straightforward. I just answered a few questions. They matched me with a mattress that is what I wanted. And I've had it for years. It's in perfect condition. I'm far from needing to replace it. Go to helixsleep.com/Pakman for 27% off site-wide, a discount they are only offering to my audience. The link is in the description.